Very good morning to all of you. On behalf of Electronics Department of IMT College of Engineering, I welcome you all in the 9th session of online FDP on recent trends and innovation in electronics engineering. Today, we are having a very talented, dynamic, eminent speaker, Ms. Akshi Sharma, with us for this session. She is project manager at Trapeze Group Canada and is responsible to bring new products to the market. She did his BTech. She did her BTech from GLBITM, Greater Noida itself. Further, she moved Canada and she completed her project management diploma from Centennial College, Ontario in 2012. Later on, she graduated from Northwestern University Executive MBA program in 2018. A strategic thinker with extensive experience in problem solving and analysis. Akshi has more than 10-year experience in project and product management with a proven ability to exceed project expectations. Akshi is passionate about understanding customer problems and loves to go deep to deliver the best possible solution and customer experience. She has worked in every stage of product development life cycle and combined her technical skill with her business to build product that her customer love. Thanks for being with us and giving us your valuable time. Now I would like to invite our FDP convener, Professor Dr. Seema Naik ma'am, to welcome her.
Very good morning to all of you, and I heartily welcome our today's speaker for day 5, session 9, Ms. Akshi Sharma, Product Manager, Trapeza Group, Toronto, Canada. Hearty welcome, Akshi ma'am. And her topic is innovation, build products that your customers love. Wonderful topic. Why new product innovation matters? Product innovation is a challenge, no matter what industry you are in. The road is fraught with detours and roadblocks. The crash and burn stories are legendary. The fear of failure can haunt even the most intrepid enterprises. So, today Ms. Akshi will tell us few ideas and steps to build products that people love, customers love. Okay, so I heartily welcome once again Akshi Sharma and I invite you for this session.
Thank you very much, Pankaj sir and Seema ma'am. I'll start sharing my screen.
Yes.
So can someone confirm that they see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Just 1 second. Just want to set this up. Okay, so good morning and welcome to this session. Thank you for the introduction. I just want to take a couple more minutes to introduce myself. My name is Akshi Sharma. I live in Canada and I'm a product manager at Trapeze Group. Today, I'm going to talk about innovation. Now, I'm sure you all know the latest trends in technology, but what happens when you have a brilliant idea and you want to use the latest technology and build a product? What happens when the product is successful and now you want to convert that into a business? So today, I'm going to touch on aspects that are critical from a business perspective. So before I start, I would like to quickly introduce myself. And I know that, Pankaj sir has done an amazing job introducing myself, but I'll do it again. So here's a quick timeline of my professional life. I did my engineering from GL Bajaj way back in 2009. And actually, Pankaj sir was one of our faculties at that time. I then worked for Accenture for 2 years in Bangalore. And then I decided to move to Canada because of some family reasons. I then did a postgraduate diploma from Centennial College in 2012 in Toronto. And right after, I worked as a software development specialist for 3 years. Now, I always wanted to do MBA. I was crazy about that. And so in 2018, I got this amazing opportunity to do my MBA from an Ivy League school in the US. Shortly after, I started working for Trapeze as a product manager, and I still work there. Okay, so before we go on, talk about innovation, I just want to introduce Trapeze Group and what I do at Trapeze Group. So who are we and what we do? So Trapeze Group is an operating company of one of the biggest technology companies in Canada, as you can see in that picture. We are traded on Toronto Stock Exchange. We belong to the Constellation Software Group. Constellation Software grows through acquisitions, and they acquire vertically integrated software companies. We're number one in terms of operating revenue, and we create technology solutions for public transit agencies across the globe. We even have an office in Noida. I don't know where it is, but it exists. Our group, however, focuses on the top 200 agencies in North American market, which means it's just Canada and the US. And what I do, I'm responsible for bringing new products to the market. And what I exactly mean by that, you will understand during this presentation. All right, so talking about innovation, innovation is a buzzword, which in my opinion, it's overused. We all want to innovate and we all wish to disrupt our industry with the latest and greatest technologies. But I'm here to make the distinction between what innovation actually is and what it isn't. So the number one, absolutely important, is innovation is a culture of any organization. You cannot expect just one person or few people to innovate. It should run in the blood of any organization. A wonderful example of that is Google. They are proven to innovate and disrupt in ways that are unconventional, and every member in that organization is incentivized to think innovatively and out of the box. The second definition of innovation is turning ideas into solutions that add real value from a customer's perspective. So Amazon has gone above and beyond and disrupted industries that no one thought they ever would. They started from an online bookstore, expanded into home delivery, optimizing supply chains, technology, food chains, pharma, and I cannot even name everything. But what they did really well is they created value for their customers. So during COVID, we all ordered online, and Amazon made sure that they provided the essentials right to the doorstep in the best and efficient way possible. Isn't that a great example? Okay, so the third definition to innovation is combination of a great idea and a brilliant execution. So I cannot not mention Steve Jobs for doing such a wonderful job of not only creating an outstanding product, but creating a brand, creating a customer experience, right? So they had the best technology, but they did not take that all for granted. They delivered brilliantly on every aspect of product development. So starting from a great product to packaging, to marketing, to entire experience. Now that's what we call innovation. The next is innovation is ideas that address new and unmet customer needs. And an example for that is Airbnb. So Airbnb does it better than any hotel in this category. So a very successful product and a very, very successful business. The last one in my list, the definition that I really liked, ideas and solutions that generate profitability by either increasing revenue or decreasing costs for the company. So again, Locus is a great example. I don't know how many people know about Locus, but it's a supply chain software company that started from Bangalore. And they are identifying new ways to optimize supply chain. So great idea indeed. So what innovation isn't? Number one, guys, don't just innovate because everybody is doing it. So BlackBerry had a great product. I don't know how many used BlackBerry phones, but back in the day, BlackBerry was a very, very, the new phone, the new thing that everybody used to have. So BlackBerry had a great product, but Apple and Samsung started to release their new products. So BlackBerry felt the pressure and forgot what they are really good at. they should have at that point asked the question, is the innovation they're working on really worth it? I guess not. The next one is a very good one. So usually companies, they focus on the idea. I have the best idea for the best possible product, and I think it'll be a huge hit. A very, very major component of innovation is execution. So focus on execution if you have a great idea. I hope you all remember the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phone recall. The batteries of these phones started exploding in people's pockets. So really bad execution, but a great phone indeed. The third one, the biggest myth of all the time. I'm the best and no one can touch us. Our customers will always be here. Cab business is a great example of that. Bad customer service, their ridiculous charges. So Uber and Ola, they identified that the customers are, not happy with their service. And so they put mostly these guys out of business, and not just in India, like same thing in North America too. Last but not the least, we have a department that innovates. I don't need to worry about innovation. And guess what? That's a lot of companies out there. They all feel this way. Okay, so there are two ways that business grows. A company can make money. One is through buying companies, which we call acquisitions. And the second one is through organic growth. So if you look at the quadrants on the right side, I operate right there. I help our business grow organically, and we make more money through new product development. So we create new products and we bring in more revenue. That's where we help our companies grow. So everything I showed you so far is great, right? We talked about innovation, we talked about organic growth, we talked about new product development. But the real question is how to do it, right? Like how to innovate, how to create a new product and start making money. So I'm going to show you 3 easy steps how to do this. I know it'll sound easy, but the actual execution of any of that step is not easy because I work in this day in, day and night. But yeah, give it a shot. Okay, so number 1 step is idea generation. I have talked to a lot of entrepreneurs that carry a digital notebook with them. So anytime they have a new idea in their head, they make notes on their phone or notebook or like whatever is convenient, right? So I recommend that you first make a list of all the ideas that come into your head. Not all the ideas will be successful at the end of this process, right? So you need an extensive list. So start creating a list of whatever comes in your head. Now you start conducting market research. So the first and foremost step is to identify the problem that you're trying to solve. Guys, if there is no problem, don't waste your time. Drop the idea. The next step is to do a root cause analysis. Dig deeper. Ask yourself why, and keep asking that question until you can break it down to what is the problem that you're trying to solve. An easy example is, I don't want to use a notebook for writing. Why? Because it is not accessible. Why? Because I cannot carry it everywhere, right? So that's a real problem. So I need some way in my phone that I can make notes. And this is a very lame example, but something like this, right? Like if you identify an idea, you start with that root cause analysis, the 5 whys, like why is that happening? Why is that happening? And then you will eventually land to, a real problem where, you feel like you're actually solving the right problem for the customer. Do a competition analysis then. Who else is already solving this problem? Maybe it's just not you. Maybe it's not something new, right? So what can they do and what can they don't? So what is it special that you can do, that you can offer to the customers that they are not? How much do they sell it for? If they are too expensive, maybe you can, create a product that is much less expensive and adds more value, right? So, that is again innovation. Create customer personas. Are you creating something for young people or elderly people or rich people or poor people? So you need to know your audience. So then you can target your right audience from that process, right? Next step is identify who you can test your product with or who will be willing to try something new, because not everybody likes change, right? So you need to identify, if I launch something, who is it that will be willing to try my product first? And then maybe this person, like from customer references or from word of mouth, you'll gain that publicity in that process that you will be able to sell it to other customers, right? So these customers are called early adopters. And then in the end, you do some financial modeling on your side and figure out how much does it cost for me to make this product and how much do I sell it for? So then in the end, so revenue minus your costs will tell you whether this idea will make you any money. Because realistically, like any business is on this planet is there to make money. Everybody wants to be profitable at the end of the day. Okay, so the next step. So now that you've done all the research and you've shortlisted your idea, you need to validate the idea and you need to figure out a high level solution, but do that with your customers. So I keep saying this, right? Like every time I go to work, every time I talk to anyone, I always tell people, you have to talk to customers at all times, right? Don't just go build something. Get feedback from your customers at every step of the process. Build an MVP. So what I mean by MVP is minimum viable product, which is like anything. It could be anything. It could be just, in software technology, we say a bunch of wireframes or screens that you can put together. Something something quick and dirty you can put on paper and maybe show to somebody and say, hey, do you think this solution will work? And if they say, yeah, this looks good, then, you haven't spent like, a lot of money building something that nobody wants. So your minimum viable product could be anything. It could be an ugly looking, but a functioning prototype. Test that in the market before you spend lakhs on building something no one wants. We make assumptions during this process. So validate those assumptions with your customers. Okay, so the next step in the process, like I said before, this is another crucial step in the process, which is execution. And I think this is the most important step of the process. When you're designing a solution to the problem, think from a customer's perspective. Be empathetic. Don't go for a waterfall model. So figure out how you can build something quickly, but make sure that you reiterate on your approach. So it's not like, you go back and you go back and you just do not interact with anybody for the next 6 months or 7 months and you're just building it in your bubble. Don't do that. Talk to your customers. And if there is something that you have figured is not working, then you should take an iterative approach and fix things as you go. Always have a go-to-market strategy in place. When you launch something, when you launch a product, where will you sell it? Will it be retail? Will it be a supermarket? Will it be, your own store? Will it be online, right? Like you need to figure out what that channel would be. And how will you exactly do it? Like a lot of companies before launch, they have like a, really big launch where they have all sorts of promotions going on, right? Like if a company has that much money and they can afford to do it, they do it. But then for startups, they cannot afford to do that. So how exactly do you plan to educate your customers, right? That's another aspect of this. Focus on the entire customer experience and build a brand that drives loyalty. And again, last point is keep gathering feedback and modify your product accordingly. So I actually used an example there. So Apple is a great example. When you walk into an Apple store, it's an entire experience. Like You walk into an Apple store, there is a customer service rep that is waiting for you. They will put your name down in their iPad, and then as you know, they serve other people, like they'll serve you, and then they offer you that entire experience. So that's the entire customer experience that I'm talking about, which builds brand loyalty. And if I don't know how many of you have used different versions of iPhones, but you know, if you use iPhone 5 from 6 even till 10, like there's no there's no big innovation. But what drives revenue for Apple is the brand loyalty, and obviously the product is great, but their entire customer experience is just, that whole journey is amazing. Sorry, just one second. Okay. So the next slide here is to show you how we do it at Trapeze. So here's how we follow the 3 steps at Trapeze. We have an incubator. We have an incubation avenue process where anybody at Trapeze who's customer facing understands the customer well, you know, knows that there is a problem, will pitch an idea to our department. I'm sorry. And then we do a market research with the person who has pitched this problem. We do a market research, we validate the problem with our customers, and then we sign up early adopters. So same thing that I mentioned before. And these early adopters help us build the product. So personally, I'm working on creating a brand new product for the industry, and I'm going through the same process that you see here on the screen. I have spoken to 30 different customers to understand their workflows and jobs and how I can solve their problems. I travel to different customer locations to sit down with our customers so we can educate ourselves on the best way to provide solutions to them. You can consider this as a startup, and you can see like anybody who's driving this process from start to end as the CEO of this product, right? So you are pretty much operating as a business owner. So starting from the product idea, I do everything: sales, marketing, customer discovery, and then product development, right? So everything. Okay, so I want to present to you some examples of great products. They are now big businesses, but they all are...
इसमें questions क्या रहेंगे? स्टार्टअप के बारे में पूछा जाए आइडियाज के लिए। ठीक। या कुछ टाइप वगैरह का क्या प्रोसेस है ना कंपनीज के?
सर आप म्यूट पे जा सकते हैं? पंकज सर,
हेलो
पंकज सर, आप शायद किसी और से बात कर रहे हैं, तो आप म्यूट पे जा सकते हैं, बीच में आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what you see on the screen, these are examples of great products. They are now big businesses. They started with one good product, and now they have converted these products to big businesses. And please don't forget that the 3 steps that I just showed you guys, these guys executed on the 3 steps on point. Okay, so recognize this man, recognize the brand. It is actually one of the biggest fast moving consumer goods company, and they have reported, it's crazy, 3,000 crore in just the last quarter of 2019. Kellogg School, where I did my MBA from, they run case studies on Baba Ramdev and Patanjali. It's not a joke. Big MBA schools, they're talking about him. So here's what Baba Ramdev has to say. We don't know markets or marketing, but what we know is serving the people by providing them high quality products at attractive prices. So that tells me that he focused a lot on the customers. Okay, so now let's put the growth of Patanjali in that 3 steps, that framework that I showed you all. So number 1, Baba Ramdev he identified the problem when he started training people on yoga, and he realized that health is becoming a concern. So that is identifying the problem. That's the first step. Going deeper, so he then went deep into the whys, and as he was starting to talk to his followers, he found out that a large percentage of people in India are health conscious and they want cheap, affordable products, because health products are not, they are very expensive. He also realized that there are Indian healthy products, so he created some loyalty around Swadeshi products, and he priced the products 15% lower than competition. He then validated this with his yoga audience, right? So that's market validation. Coming to customer segmentation, he segmented his customers to understand that his target will be health conscious people who want value for money. So he created products for kids, for young people, for adults, like for elderly people, like all kinds of people, right? So he did that segmentation. And then last is his early adopters were his yoga customers. So that's the step 1. So again, taking Patanjali into the 3 steps that I initially showed you guys. Step 2, talking to the customers. So Patanjali validated the demand of these products throughout this whole process by interacting with the customers, and they were also building a need for Ayurveda during this time, right? So when Baba Ramdev, he went on his shivers, like he kept talking about the Ayurveda products. So, that was sort of Patanjali awareness for, customers. And then the second thing is he started with 1 or 2 products. So he started with toothpaste and ghee, and now they're selling noodles too. So they are like pretty much in all categories, right? So you can see how they started so small and then they grew like crazy. Execution. So Baba Ramdev created brand loyalty through slogans such as, Prakriti ka Ashirvad and Swadeshi made. So that was his value proposition. Like this is what he was selling to his customers. Not only they had a good idea, but they had quality products too. So products that worked and they are cheap. They had great promotional, they still have great promotional strategies. They promoted products well on social media and through advertisements such as like TV ads, like all that stuff. And in the end, people, buy products because they trust Baba Ramdev. He himself is a big brand. They trust that he will always make the best recommendation. So Patanjali is a brand and a great business. The next slide, I cannot emphasize enough on how important it is to listen to your customers. Listening is a very underrated skill. So please, 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 from anything that you take from this session, whoever you go work for, make sure that you're listening and observing, and you're just paying attention to different problems around you. So that will make you understand your business and make you a very successful person. So now that you have a product that is selling well in the market, how do you now convert that into a scalable business? So there are 4 different areas here, right? Like you first sell and acquire new customers. So that's right here, first, activate. Step 2 is you move from here, new to existing. So you sell it to as many customers as possible. So we exploit the existing market. The third step in the process is you upsell. And what I mean by that is you sell your customers new products or extensions. For example, if there is a razor company selling razors to customers, they will You will first sell razors, and then they will first sell you razors, and then they'll start selling you shaving cream, right? So that's upselling. And then the fourth step is you sell into new markets. So for example, Apple they initially started with North America, then they went into European region, and now they are selling their products in India. So that means they're, trying out new geographies, new markets. Okay, so using that example, so let's apply that to another successful product and business called Flipkart. So in 2007, two guys from IIT Delhi launched an internet business that was originally an online bookstore. Platform promises to deliver books anywhere across India. So they're in the first quadrant, which is like they're trying to, get new customers. So they're acquiring new customers. In 2008, they entered second quadrant, where they have an exponential growth in the e-commerce business, and they're selling to more and more customers. In 2009, they are still in that zone in quadrant 2, but they see a lot of growth again. And then starting 2010 till 2016, Flipkart expands its presence in India. It opens offices in Delhi and Mumbai, and within that year, the company's headcount, like now they have employees about 150, and Flipkart almost crosses an important milestone by opening pre-orders for the first time. So they are in quadrant 3. Now they're expanding into new categories, which include movies, etc. And then from there, in 2017, it enters the last quadrant, where it raises about 1.4 billion from Tencent, eBay, Microsoft, to expand its footprint into new markets. So you can see how this business literally started from a small product, so just a product, from quadrant A to moving from quadrant A to 2 to 3 and to 4, right? And now they are a huge success. So I want to summarize everything that I have said. What you should do and what you shouldn't when you are innovating and bringing a new product to the market. Number 1, I want to say this again, innovate, but don't do it just for the sake of it. Solve a real problem that adds value. Number 2, think out of the box, take some calculated risks, see the big picture. You could disrupt other industries like Amazon is doing. So don't stick to your conventional and traditional ways of doing things. Number 3, don't take too long to implement. If you keep waiting, you can miss out on the opportunity. So the cost of waiting can be really high. Number 4 is, if you think you know it all about the solution, I don't think you can ever be successful, because let the customers decide what the right solution is for them, right? So emphasize so much on talking to your customers about the problem and the solution. So you have to focus on the problem. You have to focus on solving the problem and not obsess the solution and the technology that you think is the best. So again, this is my favorite one. Listen to your customers. Number 6, find your early adopters that will help you build the right product. So you need those customers who will try your product first. So you need to identify who those customers will be. Number 7 is build a minimum viable product to test your ideas and your assumptions. So anytime you're building something, you think that, a customer will pay me, 20,000 rupees for this product. But let's say you launch it and nobody wants to buy it because it's too expensive. And now you have to reduce the price. So in my experience, like I've gone through case studies where people launch products and, once it's expensive, they had to bring down the price, and then the whole reputation, right? It impacts their brand reputation and nobody wants to buy the product, right? So you need to identify what the maximum and the minimum is, like cap it and I think you can test that with, market surveys or like somehow figuring out with your customers. Know when to hire resources versus outsource to a different company. So even in our company, we keep a lot of resources, such as myself. In terms of, managing the customer relationship. I work on product strategy. I interact with customers so passionately that, these kind of roles you want to keep in-house. There are certain things that we outsource. So, for example, programming a software is outsourced to a company in India. So you need to know like which roles you can, or what parts of that supply chain can you keep in-house and what parts of the supply chain should you outsource. Focus on the customer experience. So if you have built an app, right, and you launch that app and people don't know where to click and how to do things, it's a bad product. So you need to focus on that customer experience. And if intuitively today, like, Facebook, LinkedIn, like Uber, like all these great apps, they have disrupted these markets so much that, if a customer tries to use something that they don't understand how to do it, then you have just lost a customer. So the competition is so high, the market is so saturated, and the expectation of end users have become so high that you need to really focus on that experience. You need to make your products as intuitive as possible, as much usable as possible. Last, you fail and you will fail. So if you're trying to launch a product and you're trying to run a business, everybody fails, right? Tesla, for example, it's still not profitable, but Elon Musk is a visionary. He launched SpaceX. So, he's a great guy, right? But he has a lot of failed projects in his bucket. So keep trying and don't get obsessed with the idea so much that you'll spend all your money on it and it doesn't make any money back for you. So you need to know where to invest wisely. So if you're losing too much money, sometimes it's not a good idea and you have to drop it and move on to the other one. That's all I have to share.
Okay, thank you, Archie, for this wonderful session. There are some questions, and we will discuss something about product and its developments. So, first question is, suppose a student want to develop a product, how he will take customer feedback?
So I think it depends. If you're trying to sell it to a business, then you have to start talking to the customers. Like in my role, I talk to my customers every day. Like I reach out to them, and when I explain to them the problem and they can relate to it, they give me their time. So I can sit down with them, go deeper into the problem. If it is related to a business, then I think it's sort of easier. But if you're trying to build a product directly for the end users, like consumers, B2C, then it's sometimes difficult because you don't know who to reach out to. So some companies, they do market surveys. Like there are companies that collect a lot of data. And there are different data points where they collect information from. So social media is a great platform. So people's behavior is monitored on Facebook, their shopping habits is monitored on Amazon. So all that data that these other companies are collecting, and that data gets sold to other consumers or enterprises, like you can leverage that data. You can send out market surveys with, there is Survey Monkey. You can ask them basic questions on what the problems are and how they would like to see their products to be. So all that stuff I think can be managed through getting feedback like this.
Sir, एक minute.
Okay.
Actually, it's a good idea, but it is possible only in the industry. They can do the survey and collect the data from the customers for the develop the good product. But if in the academics, students want to develop the product, then how get the customer feedback? Yeah, how on which point they will validate their ideas.
Yeah, so I did not do this in India, but I can tell you I've done some projects here, and how we conducted this is like we used to use some of our university resources. So, get a letter from our the head, the director of the program, and then reach out to corporations, and we'll say, okay, we identify this is a problem, and we want to come for an on-site visit and interview some of their people. And I know some of this information cannot, like some of the information that is private to the organizations, they cannot just share anything and everything, but they used to share, things like their day-to-day life and, problems that they encounter every day. So there are some companies out there, like bigger companies, that are open for sharing that kind of information with the students in college, because they, like, I'm sure, like I was talking to the director at GL Bajaj, and he was telling me that they are running some sort of an incubator, right? So he was promoting that, and he said, we promote our students to go talk to people in the industry. So anything that they can do to help, um, look for incubators. There are tons of incubators out there that will, you know, get you that platform, where you can understand your customers better.
Okay. Next one is, suppose a graduate develop a product, then how to do marketing uh, with their limited resources.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So how we go about is, like, we don't use social media platform or anything, but at least for B2B, we look for one customer. So if we can sell it to one customer, and we can get this customer to rave about it, because as you all know, like no other publicity is better than word of mouth. So if this customer, like, can say, great things about using your product, use that as a reference. That's your bare minimum. And then from that, there you start slow, you acquire another customer, then it's like a sort of like a chain reaction. And then I think at some point you will have enough revenue that you can put that money back into, some of the marketing sources like social media, advertisements, and promote your product. But initially, I would say just start with one customer, make sure that you implement it so well that this customer can provide you a reference, and then you can use that reference to sell it to other customers.
Okay. Now, next major issue in our country is funding. So, how fund can be generated, and what are the agencies who are supporting in funding?
So I think it also depends on the kind of projects that you will go after. I know that there are certain projects that, government will fully support. For example, I've heard my friends talk about some solar projects that, like, Indian government is really very supportive of. So there is, like, you have to figure out, like, if there is a way you can apply for a grant. If that's not possible, then there are VCs. So I know that, when you go to a venture capitalist with an idea, they will ask for a bigger share. So you need to figure out, you need to know your math. So I wish I could show you the financial modeling that I've done for the next 5 years. And based on that, you need to figure out, like, how much of your company are you willing to give to a venture capitalist. But there are definitely, like, investors out there that if you have a good idea, if you have a good product idea, and they understand that your product idea will make enough money, they will invest money into your business. So there are different sources of funding. Like even if you don't have anything to start with, you can build a prototype. And then sometimes, at least with technology, I know that people get patents. So you can apply for a patent. And then, if you get the patent approved, then you can, any VC, any investor will be more than happy to invest in your product. But you just need to be watchful of, the percentage of your company that you're willing to give to the VC.
Okay. Another question is how we can make tie-up with some foreign agencies or companies. Suppose you are in Trapeze, so is your companies also looking forward to make tie-up with here young entrepreneurs in India?
I mean, our company, not so much, but there are organizations that do look for foreign talent. They want to collaborate. So, for example, when I was doing my MBA, I did a consulting project in Brazil. And our group of 4 people, we were supposed to find a company, a Brazilian company, and figure out if they can expand into Canada, right? Like bring their business into Canada. So it's not just the companies, but there are some universities that are willing to tie up with other universities in different parts of the globe and give them the platform, give them exposure to get their students to experiment things in developed countries. And then some students from here in Canada will go to some developing countries such as Brazil, India, and experience the real life case studies and businesses and economies there. So not our organizations, sir, but there are organizations and universities that do that.
Okay. One more question is there. Is in the process of funding advertisement, is degree is important? Yeah, from where you have graduated, yeah, PG, is it an important factor?
Funding an advertisement or funding a product?
Funding a product.
Okay. Sometimes it is, sir, because I think they really look for your business acumen, right? So if you have, usually, like when you're looking for a product, I don't know if you watch these shows like Shark Tank. Shark Tank is an American show where there are 4 VCs in that show that like people will come and they will pitch their product ideas, and these people will say, okay, I'm willing to give you $1 million for this much percentage in your company, something like that. So they do look for the background of this person in terms of understanding if you have that knowledge, if you have the capability to drive a business. But at the same time, if some people are just born with it, I feel like not everybody needs to have an MBA, not everybody needs to be educated on how to run a business. Like some people are just, if they are born in a business family, their fathers or forefathers have taught them, right? Like, invest in the right thing, save money, do this, do that. So if you are born with it, if you are skilled enough, then I wouldn't say that that is needed. But if you are somebody who's like absolutely fresh and do not have that background, you do need some sort of education that can provide you the framework and knowledge and that support in order to run a business.
Okay, thank you, Akshi. One
Okay,
small, yes.
Okay, one more question. There are many challenges while developing the products. How to analyze all these challenges and make the product best in the market?
That's a very broad question, ma'am. So the challenges that I can tell you that I'm coming across, like if I can share that. Initially, so our company, which is Constellation Software, like the bigger company, they want us, like they initially wanted us to, have customers pay for the product idea. So they need to invest early so that they can be part of this program. And then, once we have enough customers on board, then we can all go build the product. Now, that sometimes doesn't fly because we work with the government agencies, and the government agencies, they're always short on funds, and it's all taxpayers' money. So at the end of the day, if my product is not successful or I don't do a good job, a CEO at a transit agency is in trouble. So the first challenge that I came across with was to get customers on board, and all that investment expectation from our parent company, I had to overcome that. So, sorry, what we did is we talked to our customers. Again, like, talking to customers is important. So we gathered the feedback around this program, and they said this is an unrealistic expectation. So we took that feedback and we went back to our leadership team, which is Constellation Software, and we said, this is not something that is doable. This is what we've heard from our customers, right? So then we were able to overcome that. And now we're not expecting our customers to pay upfront for any product idea. So we ask them to participate for free. But then if they help us build something, then we offer them discounts. So what that means is, like, they will be incentivized, right? So once the thing is ready and they buy it, so let's say it costs $1 million. So now they have a 50% discount. So it'll only cost them $50,000. So something like that, right? So that was the initial challenge that I had. The second challenge is I have never done sales. I mean, I was an engineer, and then I started working as a project manager. And then in between, like, I became a product manager. So I'm experienced with product management, but I had never done sales and marketing before. But I had to do it in this role. I was expected to, do a presentation to a CEO versus, somebody like, a supervisor at a transit agency. So that was another challenge. So I think anybody, I am talking to the students too, anybody who is starting a new business, be ready to wear multiple hats, because maybe you will not be a salesperson, maybe you will not have all the experience what it requires to run a business, but be willing to learn, right? And that's what I did. I learned sales. I practiced it with my boss, and I took a lot of courses around that, and I did a lot of practice runs. And then by the time I did actual sales, I was able to sell it to 5 customers. I did not think I could sell it to 1. That's how bad I was in sales. So I think that process is very important. And that was another challenge for me, trying to sell the product idea.
Yeah, thank you, Akshi, for this great session. And you have discussed each and every aspects. And I hope our young graduates will definitely be benefited from this session. And now I would like to invite our FDP convener, Professor Dr. Seema Naikman, for giving vote of thanks.
A wonderful session, Akshi, on innovation.
Thank you.
And build the products that the customers love. And you have described all the points, that is idea generation, idea validation, and how to execute the idea. And the term you explained, that innovation is a combination of great idea and the brilliant execution. Wonderful definition of innovation. And one point is very important: don't spend money and efforts on something no one wants. It's a very good.
That is most important.
That is most important.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful session, and thank you very much for accepting our request and being the speaker of this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. I had a great time. Thank you.